a lot, so double time. So originally it is only 10 pounds per day, but then now there will be 20 pounds a day. So this gonadotropic releasing hormone, it is just for encouraging, triggering the pituitary gland hormones to be produced, okay, to be produced or secreted. So the estrogen increases ability to of the pituitary gland to respond to the hormone from the brain with an increase in LH secretion. So therefore, because of the pulse frequency increase, it will trigger the LH surge. We say that this is LH surge, a sudden increase of LH and to a maximum level. And this is a kind of positive feedback of the estrogen action. The estrogen is just being produced continuously from the granulosa cell. And then it will trigger the brain, and then the brain will just release, the hypothalamus will just release the GnRH, and then to ask the pituitary gland to secrete the LH. So this is continuously happening, a positive feedback, until ovulation happens. So LH surge begins about 24 hours before ovulation. Again, the number here, it is just on paper, theoretically. Sometimes it can be 12 hours prior ovulation. Sometimes it can be 36 hours before ovulation. Okay, but averagely it is 24 hours, and at peak about 16 hours before ovulation. So LH secretion causes a wall of Gravian follicle rupture on day 14, around day 14. In another word, you can consider this in the middle of the cycle. Okay, and the secondary oocyte will be released, arrested at metaphase 2 of meiosis again, to remind you here. So this real situation is the ovary. There is a rupture of the oocyte. So the oocyte just be squeezed out, bulged out. And then these oocytes, they are being bulged out, and it will be jumped to the fimbria of uterine tube. Okay? So thirdly, luteal phase. After the ovulation, the follicle becomes empty. So nothing inside now. What to do? Stimulated by the LH to become the corpus luteum now, and secretes estrogen. So now it is still secreting the estrogen. Okay, so you can see the estrogen level increase, and then progesterone level also increasing. So rises to peak level in a week, within a week after ovulation. Why? Because within this week, if the progesterone level and estrogen level can be highest, they can just kept the inner layer of the uterus to be thick, to grow more tissues and prepare for the babies to appear. Okay, so this kind of the hormone secretion or production, they are for a kind of a preparation for fertilized egg to be formed. So that's why it is within a week. Okay, and when we talk about the fertilization, you will know more. And then it is a kind of the negative feedback, inhibitory effect on the FSH and LH. That means when the progesterone level increase, estrogen level increase, then they can just inhibit the LH and FSH in the brain secretion, because they just tell the brain, okay, your work has done. You do not need to continue to send out the signals, for example, FSH, for the follicles to grow, because they have already bulged out the oocyte ready. Okay, and secondly, we find that the corpus luteums also secrete inhibin, another protein that can suppress the FSH as well. So we just don't want the FSH to work now, because nothing to be stimulated to grow. So this prevents further ovulation to occur in the same cycle. So that's what I've told, that you don't want to continue to develop the follicles. Okay, so therefore we just want it to be stopped at this moment. We just wait to see if there is any fertilization happen. So it can make sure within the same menstrual cycle, within the same ovarian cycle, we only got one choice or one time of fertilization to happen. Okay, so new follicles start to develop near the end of the luteal phase, because you already know that there's nothing possible now. So the corpus luteum has already developed into the corpus albicans, which is useless. So gradually they will be degraded later. Why they develop into the albicans? It is because they know that the egg is not really being fertilized, so they just degrade out. So at this moment, your body will know that, okay, we have to start a new cycle. So new follicles will start to develop near the end, and estrogen level, progesterone level will just immediately fall. When they immediately fall, menstruation happen. Okay, so before we talk about this, let's have a break for 5 minutes. If you have any question, you can ask now. Helping the endometrium to become thicker, vascular, that means more blood vessels will be developed. And then the shape or the appearance, they look spongy. Uterine glands become engorged with the glycogen as well, because this become the storage of the energy. So in case there is the embryo or fertilized egg coming, then they can just nourish the embryo or zygote. So finally is the menstrual phase. So let's talk about a fall in the ovarian hormone secretion at late luteal phase. So when every hormone has been just dropped down, then there will be constriction of the spiral arteries, which is the main arteries that maintaining, you can say that maintaining the endometrium tissues, and which will lead to the tissue death there. So because of the constriction, so no blood is going to the endometrium. So that's why this tissue will be dying, and then they will just fall off. At the same time, some scientists found that the spiral arteries, they may also contribute to the menstrual bleeding. Why they say in this way? Because the scientists find out that if we do not have the spiral arteries, we just try to take some samples from the menstrual, not menstrual, from the uterus. We find that there's not much bleeding. So the spiral arteries should be the one that contribute to the bleeding during the menstrual cycle. So this I just take it from the 256 slide here as a reminder for you. So menstrual cycle, menstrual phase, it usually lasts for 5 days. But then some people they can last for 3 days only, but some people can be 7 days or a little bit longer. But normally within 7 days should be normal. Okay, if there is no fertilization, the corpus luteum will just degenerate, no progesterone, no estrogen, menstruation start, and then the blood vessels will just fall off, everything break down. What I want to emphasize it again here is the uterus will produce the prostaglandin. It is a kind of chemicals which will lead to the uterine smooth muscles contract. So it can why we need the uterus to contract, because we hope to squeeze out all these dead tissues and blood vessels that we don't need. Okay, so that's why for some girls they find these contractions painful, just like a cramping of their stomach, but actually not really. Right? That is the uterus muscles or surrounding the muscles surrounding, feeling the pain caused by the prostaglandins. So every time when I talk about this, I would remind the girls again, protect your uterus. Do not drink cold. Do not have cold drinks all the time. Okay, you have to protect it, because it is, even though a lot of people was just saying, or even the scientists were just saying, there is no relationship between the cold drinking or cold eating with your menstrual cycle or your pain, but I can tell you they should be related. Okay, because every time when you drink something cold, too cold especially, you just drink it in, right? Your stomach, your intestine, those are surrounded by blood vessels. When you get a cold thing get into your GI tract, all these blood vessels will just constrict. So this constriction also got some problem that somehow in I think in the traditional Chinese medicine we'll use another word saying that your blood flow is not smooth, right? So something like that. It is true. So you'd better protect it. And then and what else? I suddenly forgot. Uh, 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 Yeah. And sometimes people were saying that the prostaglandin, normally when the muscle contract, it should be fine. It should be fine, right? You shouldn't feel the pain. If your menstrual cycle is good, that means your prostaglandin production level is not that high. That means everything, the flow of blood or the Garrett process of those endometrium cells